Hey guys, Jim here. Welcome back once again. Listen, I really didn't know how to start off this video um, because there really is an 800-pound gorilla in the room, and I felt I needed to address that right off the drop. So, since I really didn't know how to approach this video, it took me a few tries to finally get the intro that I wanted. So, since none of them really came out the way I wanted them to, including the final one that I end up using, I kind of want you to see them all. So enjoy.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Bestech Man. Is this the greatest name in porn or the worst name in knives? Bestech Man. Is this the worst name for a knife brand or the best name for, I don't know. Bestech Man. Is this the worst name for a knife brand or is this the best possible name for a Marvel superhero? Bestech Man. Woo! Is this the worst name for a knife brand you've ever heard or the best name for really there's nothing good this can be applied to. Bestech Man. Ah, what a name. Now, is that the worst name you've ever heard for a knife brand or is it the best name for the next Marvel superhero? Yeah. Bestech Man, the worst name in the knife industry or the best name in the porn industry? Bestech Man. I honestly don't know what to say. For what may be the worst name in the entire knife industry for a knife brand, they've got everything else going for them. They're making incredible actions, really good looking designs, comfortable knives in the hand, good edges. You really can't complain too much when the price point is this low. Now, I would say you could avoid it entirely by just not telling your buddy that you're handing the knife to that it's called Bestech Man, but unfortunately, it's right there on the blade, so you really can't avoid it. But if you can get past the name, and there are a lot of silly-ass names in the knife industry, so don't think I'm picking out just one. This is just the newest one. They have made one hell of a solid knife. Now, this may not be, obviously, for the high-end collector. Even if you're a high-end collector that buys somewhat budgetary knives to use for EDC. But by that, you're looking at $300, $400, $500 knives as being budgetary if you're a high-end collector. So you don't often dip down this low in the price range. But I would tell you this. If you have friends that are getting into knives, or maybe you're about ready to get married and you want to give all of your groomsmen a really cool knife, this would be an excellent choice. It's also an excellent choice for somebody who does collect nicer knives, that really does want something that they can kind of beat on, cut open a bunch of cardboard boxes every day, things that they may not want to put their more expensive knives through that often. Not saying that you don't use them, but that maybe you don't want to just kill the edge immediately the first week or two that you've got it. That's what something like this is for. And that's what something we would normally look at like Kershaw and Cold Steel and Spyderco. We look at those as budgetary brands for more hard use than perhaps we would put our $1,000 custom knives through, right? Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. I am an enormous fan of Bestech. Not only am I a fan of their designs, I'm a fan of the quality of the knives that they're putting out. I'm a fan of the designers they're working with. And so much so that I have a few knives of my own design in development with them. And I only trust them with them because I've experienced their quality. I've seen what they're able to do. And it's truly mind-blowing. If you go back just 3 or 4 years to now, it is literally night and day difference in what they're able to accomplish. So I have full faith that they're going to pull off all the designs that they choose to get into. So just because I think the name of this line is kind of funny Don't take it as a slight against the brand or even against the knife that I'm showing you, because the Bestechman Dundee is actually a sexy-ass design. It looks great. It feels really good. And the action is unbelievable. It's not that long ago that you would have looked at a knife under $300 and not gotten an action like this. Now it's becoming more commonplace. Now all of these manufacturers have really upped their game in the quality of their actions, their detents, everything that they're doing. So now you're kind of like, well, yeah, anything that's 150 and up, I should expect a really good action. Maybe not quite this good, but a really good action. There is no reasonable expectation for a knife in this price range to feel like this does, to perform like this does action-wise, or to be overall what it is. They could have gone cheap in a number of different ways, and yes, they did on the blade steel. It's D2. It's nothing to write home about. Is it bad? No, but you do have to take extra care just to make sure that you're not going to rust or corrode the blade. We'll talk more about that because there is a specialized finish on this that protects 99.9% of the blade. All you've got to worry about is the exposed edge. And sure, it's not going to take the finest of fine edges, but realistically, this is not a knife that you're getting into a major cutting competition with. This is going to be a knife that you carry in your pocket, or you have stowed somewhere in your vehicle, or it's your backpack knife or something where it's a reasonable backup to your more expensive knives when you don't really want to tear into them, but you still want something that's a good performer. And if you do happen to have it in your pocket, and you do run into a knife buddy, and he says, hey, pocket check, what's in your pocket? And you pull this out. There is absolutely nothing for you to be, I don't know, embarrassed about or feel like, oh, geez, I really wish I would have been carrying a different knife today. Because it's a really handsome design. It feels really good. And every time you flick that blade open, I should say flip because it is a flipper, not a flicker. Every time you flip it open and you drop it closed, you're constantly amazed at how this knife performs out of the box for such a low price. So let's get down into the tabletop. Let's get some really good close-up looks at this and talk about the pros and cons. Let's try to leave the name out of it for the most part and talk about why I think that this new brand could be something special and a great alternative for almost every kind of knife collector in the near future. You know, when a knife feels like this, it just deserves something better than this name. It really does. Bestechman. All right, now hopefully we have all the giggles out of the way and we can focus on just how cool this knife really is. Yes, we can sit there and laugh at the name, but let's be honest here. It really doesn't matter what the damn name on a knife is, as long as it serves the purpose that you're buying it for and it checks all the boxes that you're looking for. Speaking of boxes, this is one of the ways they're able to lower the cost by just giving you a very generic, inexpensive cardboard box. There is nothing in there but the knife and your warranty paperwork. But I do want to focus on this for 1 second, because a lot of people that really don't know a lot about blade steel are just going to tell you that D2 is crap. You should never buy a knife with D2. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. But let's say you are under the influence of the ignorant internet. And you're saying, well, I love everything about this knife except I won't buy it because it's D2. Oh, here you go. Under the warranty, take a good look at this. They will repair the knife free of charge, yada, yada, yada. But also, they're happy to resharpen your knife to factory sharp. And if you were to do something like snag your pocket clip, they'll replace that for you as well. But there's the key. For somebody that really thinks that D2 is going to be somehow problematic, it's in their warranty. They'll resharpen the damn thing for you. Because there is one thing about D2, it is not easy to resharpen because the larger carbides, It's an ununiform carbide structure in D2. So you get large and small carbides intermixed throughout, and that's what gives you the edge that it does. But that also means the larger carbides that are getting very, very, very hard are not that easy for you to just resharpen with a consumer grade sharpening kit. So do keep that in mind. We'll talk more about D2 in a minute, but let's get into the specs of this knife and talk about why I think for the price point, this might just be damn near unbeatable. First off, the name of the particular model here is the Dundee. They're going to be launching October 14th of 2022 in 11 different variations. There's going to be different colors of G10. As you see here, I have the white G10. And there are going to be different colors of micarta available. There's also going to be different blade finishes as well. The design was done by Ostap Hel. He is a Polish knife designer, very, very talented. I've owned a few of his knife designs, and he is very much in this very sleek, very narrow, very modern type of design aspect. Does a great job, super cool knives. A lot of his stuff tends to be front flippers and top flippers, which I'm not a big fan of, so I'm really glad they decided to go with a standard flipper tab on this. Now the price, that's the thing that everybody really wants to know. Because you're hearing me say, well, for the price, I think it's unbeatable. For the price, this and that. Guys, this is going to be around 40 bucks. So for the price of a generic garbage knife that comes in a plastic wrap hanging on a shelf in Walmart, you can actually get a flipper with a decent steel, with otherwise good materials, with an incredible action, with a strong lock, and a handsome design that you're not going to be embarrassed about. So put that in perspective. I'm not going to come out here and say that this is the next Peñamula, that this is the next Invictus. No, that's not what I'm saying. You know, you're talking $300 to $400 knives there, which are still very, very inexpensive, but it's a tremendous price difference between them. You know, you look at these two and you're looking, you know, this is 1/10 the price of this one just about. So it's crazy. I don't have an issue with anything on this knife. Like I said, and I've said countless times already, the action is utterly ridiculous. I'm not even giving it a good shake. There's a shake. And it's just dropping straight down. You can feel those bearings just gliding that blade down. I like their pivot. Nice, clean, handsome pivot design. While I don't typically like a bent, stamped clip, there's nothing wrong with this. It's very low profile. It's easy to access if you want to take it off and swap it out for a different kind of clip. I do wish the ramp was a little bit more pronounced to make it easier to get into your pants. I wish it was always easier to get into your pants. But regardless, yeah, this should have a little bit more of a duckbill, a little bit more of a ramp, so that you don't feel the need to pry it open. It's a very stiff clip. You're going to want to kind of wear that in before expecting it to be super easy to get in and out. It's a clean pass-through design with a single standoff. It is a liner lock. At first, I thought it was just an inset tab lock because I'm like, all I see is G10. I don't see liners because the liners don't go all the way to the outer edges of the scales. But it is actually a liner lock. Let's get the specs out of the way and talk about what this knife has going for it. First off, as I mentioned, it is a liner lock flipper. The overall length is 8.07 inches. So definitely not an oversized knife by any stretch of the imagination. Blade length is 3.35 inches in D2 with a titanium coating. And not all of them will have the titanium coating. Only the ones that appear this dark will. You'll see some two-tone satin and brushed satin and things like that. Those do not have the coating. Thickness is 125 thousandths of an inch thick. So very, very slim on the blade stock thickness. And that does bring it down, by the way, to a nice thin edge. And the weight is 3.32 ounces. Now that weight comes to us from Bestech. Let's see what my scale says. There you go, 3.2. So it's actually a little tiny bit lighter than their measurement. So back to the D2 comments. Listen, yes, it's a non-uniform carbide structure. There are some very large carbides that are in there, and that basically gives you micro serrations in the edge. Now, if you're using your edge to actually cut things, that's not a bad thing. If all you want to do is slice paper, you have a million other knives for that go down to a much, much finer edge, more of a razor type edge. This is a very good working edge. The only downsides to D2 really are, because remember, D2 is a tool steel. It is meant to be used and used and used and used and used. So you're going to get good edge retention on this. You're going to get good wear resistance on D2. However, it's not easy to resharpen yourself. It can be a bit of a struggle and take a while. And it's not a stainless steel. It's a semi-stainless steel. I think it's like 1% chromium too low to be called a stainless. So it doesn't rust easily. However, if all you're used to are stainless steels, and that's the only way that you use your knives in a way that you don't have to worry about any rust or corrosion, all I'm going to say is this. You have a titanium coating on your blade. Even if that was just a basic DLC or PVD in black oxide, or it was rust blued, any coating over the steel is going to help protect it, right? But you have the exposed edge. So you're never really going to have to worry about any rust or corrosion anywhere through here. But on the edge, it's exposed steel. So a little bit of EDCI solution, or name your poison, whatever you want to use. And then after using it, after cutting, when you've exposed that edge again, because you're always going to lose a tiny bit of material every time you cut with it, so you just want to recoat it with whatever oil or treatment you want. Just keep that edge maintained. That's it. Just put a little bit of anti-corrosive goodies on your edge, and you don't really have to worry about it. This is certainly not going to be as difficult to maintain as high carbon steels like you use in a lot of your Damascus knives. So again, don't fall for what a bunch of people on the internet regurgitate from 15-year-old forum threads. D2 is not a bad steel. There's nothing great about it. Again, it does have good wear resistance. Other than that, it's just kind of your run-of-the-mill steel. It's not particularly special. But that's why it's so inexpensive. So you're able to get into a very, very low-budget price point knife with a good performing steel, as long as you take care of it and realize that resharpening won't be the easiest thing. But again, they'll resharpen it for you if you're not patient enough or talented enough to resharpen your own blades. So that's the steel discussion out of the way. You shouldn't really have any concerns about that. The other ways they were able to cut costs, obviously, they don't have the liners going all the way around. They have a very inexpensive pocket clip design, which again is functional. It's not going to be the easiest to get over like thick jeans or something like that over the pocket seam, but it will work. You can also just give this a little stretch and just open it up just a little bit, and you'll be just fine. Remember, if you overextend it, you'll just have to take it off, wrap it up in something protective, and then just take a pair of pliers and squeeze that back together to get it tight again. So don't do it a million times. It doesn't have that much memory, but you can certainly adjust that to your liking. Here are a couple of things that I wish were a little bit different. This is not the easiest knife to flick. I actually can't do it. You've got this really nice, well-designed fuller that goes all the way down the blade and then drops off into the swedge, which I love. Which, by the way, out of the box, this comes nicely sharp. I can feel the tackiness to it. So it's got this really nice design to it there, but you really can't use it to reverse flick. And the best you're going to do with your thumb is a slow roll. You're not really going to flick it out very easily with your thumb. You see how slow that was? I would have much preferred if this cutout was a little bit deeper and about a 1/4 inch longer. If it were, because even if you could get your fingers in there and get in that groove and flip it open, where you actually want to do it is down here, or maybe here at best. So having a little bit more of a cutout and just a little bit deeper so that you can access that channel more easily would make a lot of people that prefer to flick a lot happier. But the flipper tab is wonderfully jimped. It's very, very easy on the detent. It's got a nice feel to it. You hear that? Hold on. Now it's not doing it. It's got a little bit of squeak to the lock. So there's a little bit right there where it kind of, it's telling me it wants to have a little bit of blade stick, but that's something that will wear in over time. You could always do the Sharpie trick back here at the lock interface and you won't have any issues. That's pretty much it. I just wish there was more access to that groove. I really do. If you're going to do that, you need to actually follow through 100% with it. And I wish there was a little bit of either jimping or scalloping on the lock bar access. It's wonderfully rounded, so it doesn't feel sharp on your finger. If they left that harsh edge there, then yes, I'd be complaining about that. But while I've never had an issue with hitting this lock, I see some people just being in a hurry and rushing past it and going, oh, why won't my knife close? So a nice little scallop in there with some jimping would be a great idea for the future. Speaking of jimping, they did a great job on the blade spine here. It's nicely crowned right back here where your thumb is going to drop. The jimping is perfect. It's nice and smooth if you're applying no pressure. So it's not going to grate your skin. It's not going to do anything else. It's not going to tear up fabric in your pockets. But when you push down even slightly, see how it's pulling the skin off of my thumbnail there? Hold on, see if we can get it to focus. There we go. So the jimping is very, very, very effective. And that is the same jimping that you're getting right here on the flipper tab as well. So yeah, as far as the action goes, super, super impressive. I mean, really impressive. This would be a really great knife if you've got an older son. He's started to notice your knife collection. He's starting to show interest in knives, but you don't want to spend $100, $200, $300 on his first couple of knives. A few of these would be a really great way to go. You're spending about 40 bucks. Very small investment because he's probably going to lose it, or he's going to drop it when it's open and he's going to tip it and break or bend the tip, or something dumb is going to happen with it. He's going to open a paint can or some shit. So even something as cheap as like an $80 Civivi may be a little bit more than you want to go. Man, 40 bucks and you're not buying him a garbage knife. You're buying him a knife from a parent company who has an amazing reputation for quality, consistency, and for their customer service and warranty work. You have no worries about any of that. Like I've mentioned, I have a big love affair with Bestech. I think they do a fantastic job with the knives they make, and they already make in 3 different tiers, 3 different pricing levels, and this one is going to be all the way down there at the bottom tier. And I still feel for what you're spending, you're getting a heck of a good knife. Again, it's nothing to write home about. You know, we all go crazy about stuff like the Peñamula, which is very similar in its overall size. It has a fantastic action. And you know what? There's not an enormous difference between them, except for the blade steel and the fact that this is all titanium with a pretty expensive inlay. You guys know I'm a huge fan of my Terrain 365 Invictus ATB. The action is almost hydraulic. It's beautiful. But then again, you're at a very, very similar profile with your blade length and your overall length. Very easy to carry. This one's also much lighter weight. When we talk about actions, that's a knife that's giving you an action that's this good, and this is a $700, $800 custom-made knife in my hand. And the action is very, very similar. So I think that they've really done their best to give a budget price knife a good-looking design and give you a few of the things that you typically shop for in more expensive knives. This is not going to replace your favorite knife in your collection. It's not going to replace your 25th favorite knife in your collection. What it will do, however, is give you a good substitute for the day. You know you're going to go out, you're going camping, you're going to carry a few knives with you, of course, because you have different needs and different types of blades for different things. And If all you're doing is sitting there and you're whittling away some wood, and you're trying to make little spikes or something, or you're feathering some wood so that you can throw it into the fire pit and get the fire started easier, you know what? Maybe you don't want to take your $700-800 custom with a beautiful hand-rubbed satin blade that when you breathe on it wrong is going to mar it because you love the look of that knife. Not that you're not going to use it, but if you have something less expensive to beat on, why not do that? And that's where this knife is going to come out. You're going to feather that stick. You're going to make your kindling out of it. You're going to put this back away, and this is going to be the knife you use for the rest of the trip. Or this one. You know, it doesn't really matter. It's a good backup. It's a good secondary knife. It's a great knife if you want to have that throwaway that, you know, like, you want to keep a good quality performing knife in your car or in your truck, but you're worried if somebody ever breaks into it and ransacks your console, they're going to steal everything in it. Do you want them to steal a $400 knife? Or is it easier to replace a $40 knife? I think that makes common sense. A lot of us have our bug out bags or get home bags, or maybe you just do a lot of hiking and you have a backpack for some other reason. This is a great backpack knife. You throw that in there, it adds almost no weight. You're not adding more burden to more things you're putting into your sack. This is going to be easy to carry. It's going to perform just how you want it to perform. And you can leave it there and just forget about it. It's not a major important part of your collection where you're going to go, gosh darn it, I really wanted to carry that knife today. I wonder where that is. No. And honestly, at the price, if you get one of these and you're like, holy shit, I really fell in love with this more than I thought I would, you're going to buy a few of these anyway at this price. With 11 different variations, you're probably going to have a different color for a different day of the week. So you throw one in your backpack, you give one or two to your kids, you give one to your wife, and dull hers a little bit because, I mean, women, can they be trusted with things like this? I mean, I don't know. Go look at the wheels on your car. All four wheels are curved from the very first day that you let her drive it. She's probably backed into your garage door more than once, or, you know, just so dull it down a little bit so she doesn't hurt her precious little hands. I'm kidding. All of the female collectors out there, I'm kidding. It's a joke. Please don't strangle me in the comments below. Anyway, so there are a lot of good applications for this price range. By the way, I neglected to mention that this is a reversible pocket clip. So you just unscrew it from this side and screw it on that side, and hey, it's lefty friendly. And that should make a lot of other people very happy as well. So overall, this is not going to change the world, but I find it refreshing to see a good custom designer being brought in to design handsome knives at a $40 to $50 price range that perform this well. Again, the action is addictive. I think that you're absolutely going to fall in love with the action on this knife. If for no other reason, get one to try out that action and go, holy shit. Old Jimbo was right. That feels fantastic. Because what have you got to lose, man? You're buying this on Amazon for like $40. Your Nana, your Gammy probably gave you a $40 gift card for Christmas last year. So use it. You could not find a decent knife for $40 on Amazon. That's why you still got that coupon. Use it on this. Anytime after October 14th, 2022, they're going to be out there and available. And I'm sure they're going to make a whole bunch of them. So there you go, guys. There is my overly long video about an unbelievably inexpensive knife. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on the next video.